This is the Big Life. Big Life. The show for people who want to live life large. I'm Ray Waters.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you. Y'all, it is so good to be with you. Y'all, I like this place a lot better than the last place I went to. It was a little hard getting in. Some reason my GPS took me to the wrong garage. And so when we realized after we went up and down and couldn't find a bridge, then we had to run back and circle out, and they wanted us to pay. And we said, we just got here, we didn't even park, and they finally let us out. And then we drove all over. Anyway, finally found a street parking place and ran. And thank y'all for your patience. Thank you for waiting for us to get set up. I am honored to be here. I think we're going to have a good time. I spoke recently with a real estate group in Chicago, and I started the talk by telling them, this is true, a few months ago, BizNow, which is an electronic international digital media company, called me, and because I'm supposedly an expert on emotional intelligence. And so in the interview that they were doing, they said, are you serious, knowing emotional intelligence, you really think it can have a positive effect on people in the commercial real estate business? And it's like, absolutely. If we can become better human beings, and really isn't that what it's all about? We want to get better so we can do better, so we can be better. Absolutely. If people know emotional intelligence, then life for them is going to be much better, and they're going to be better at their jobs. It's going to be more meaningful to them. Absolutely. I get the same question often as it relates to life balance. I'm supposed to go to Miami soon to do a radio interview on a Miami radio station and around the idea of business. And the things I talk about are often seen as softer topics. And so when the host was giving me some questions he'd be asking, and that's one of the questions. Can life balance really be helpful for people who are in business? And it's like, of course it can be helpful, because don't we all want to be the best men and women we can possibly be? Don't we want to get better so we can do better, so we can be better in every area of our life? So I salute Brian for taking this year and really working on some things that hopefully will make you feel better about life, make you learn some things that will be helpful. I will tell you this, life change for adults is one of the hardest things you will ever do. My experience has been people think it's easy to change, but the truth is, if you want to seriously change things about yourself, it is a little bit of a challenge. But every person in this room, you have done tough things before. You can do it. And I just want to be able to give you the skills, hopefully, that'll be helpful. First thing I want to do is I want to talk to you about some things life balance is not. Because life balance is a great topic, but there's a lot of things that I don't want you to go into this talk thinking some things that are not going to be true. First thing I know for sure, life balance is not about you having a perfect day every day. That will never happen. Life just doesn't serve it up like that, ever. So don't think after this talk tomorrow, my life sucks, Ray failed. No, Ray said good stuff. Life just sometimes is hard. That's just the way it is. Second thing that's not true about life balance is this. It's not about devoting equal attention to every aspect of your life on a daily basis. In other words, I don't want you to think, okay, I'm going to work this out where I've got 8 hours at my job, and I've got 8 hours at my home, and then I've got 8 hours to sleep. Because again, my experience has been it almost never works out like that. There are times when the project is due at work, and what do? You work, and you work hard, you work long, you come in early, you work late, you go home, you're still carrying it with you because that's what you have to do. But we also know there are other times when you have someone that you're a primary caregiver to, and they're sick, and suddenly you kind of have to reschedule, figure some things out. So I don't want you to think that it's ever getting it exactly equal. It will fluctuate, but it's mainly a mentality that you have to have as you approach this idea. Third thing, please hear me here. It is not about fitting more things into your schedule. I think if you get anything out of the talk, it's going to be you can say no to adding more things to your schedule, and that is totally all right. Fourth thing is this. It's not a magical cure for everything. It's not going to be when you get life balance down, it doesn't mean everything's perfect. It's not. And the fifth thing is this. just because you maybe learn some things today or over the next weeks or months, it's not a permanent fix. I wrote a book several years ago. In fact, this little book, sorry, I bet I walked out of the frame, sorry. This little book, I wrote it a few years ago, and it's on life balance. It's called Tightrope Tango, and the principles here are all true, and I love it very, very much. And I'm 56 years old, and about twice a year, my wife and I have to say, hey, can we talk tonight about our balance in our life? Because we will get it screwed up. We'll have, we have responsibilities. We have 8 grandchildren. We have grown adult children. We have, Jane's mom is 89 years old. My parents are, still alive. We have a lot of responsibilities, and we can get out of balance in a minute. And so I just want you to know this is an ongoing process. Hopefully the things that I'm going to say are going to stick with you, and you're going to really put it into practice, and then you're going to realize you have to revisit this again and again and again, said the person who wrote the book on life balance. Trust me, that's really, really true. So all very, very important. Another thing, I have evolved on the subject since I wrote this book. When I wrote this book, most people were talking about work-life balance. And that has kind of gone by the wayside. I think now people are thinking about it more as the idea of life balance, because it was almost as if work was over here and then life was something else. And some of you may say, yeah, I'm thinking that too. But really, when you spend 8 hours a day with people, this is life. This is life. So instead of trying to get work and life situated, we just now say life balance. So very, very important. Work is not separate from life. Work really is life. So here's the truth about us as adults. None of us will really experience meaningful change until we get tired of how things are. So if you're really content with how things are right now, then nothing's going to really change, and I get it. There needs to be a recognition that your life isn't working the way you want it to. And when that happens, then there's the potential for change. It's elementary, but sad. Some people never get to that stage of saying, you know what? I do not like the way my life is working right now. And so if you feel a little discontent inside, then you're on a good path, because there's the potential for you for change. Balance is going to require for you to recognize an inner boss inside of you. It's very, very important. What did, some of y'all are my age and we grew up watching Popeye. What did Popeye say? You remember, that's all I can stand. I can't stand no more. Yeah, I can't stand no more. That's exactly right. Some of y'all, you need to get to that point. You need to stomp your feet a little bit and say, I am tired of this. I am sick and tired of this. That's all I can stand. I can't stand no more. And then blow the pipe and get all busy doing what you're supposed to do. So you have to decide that you're not powerless. Nobody in this room is powerless. Nobody in this room is powerless. You have the opportunity to take control of your life, to be the inner boss that you need you to be, and to listen to what that boss says. You don't have to be a pawn in this life game just being pulled around. That's not what it's supposed to be about. So you got to learn how to take charge. This was exciting to me. I just finished a new book on happiness. And I hope maybe towards the end of this year, one of the sessions that we'll get to do will be on happiness. It's a bigger book, thicker book, I really think a better book, and it's on kind of what science is proving really helps make people live a happier life. But these statistics kind of blew my mind in research. Happiness research says this: roughly 50% of your happiness is determined by your DNA. In other words, if you're basically a happy person, thank your mom and your dad, thank your grandparents, because you just kind of got the luck of that. That's just wonderful. Same thing's true if you're more melancholy. 50% is kind of connected to DNA. Happiness remains fairly constant for people throughout most of their life. There's a fancy word for this. You don't have to remember it, but it's homeostasis. It's kind of the idea that you just kind of stay relative equilibrium as far as it relates to happiness. That's 50% DNA. 10% are those things that happen to you. You go through a divorce, you get an accident, and now you don't know what you're going to do for a car. You do a scratch off and you win $100. Those little things give you a bump, either up or down. But here was what was telling. 40% of someone's happiness is determined by your thoughts, actions, and your attitudes. Thoughts, actions and attitudes. In other words, we control it. That inner boss inside of us that says, I'm going to master life balance. I'm going to master emotional intelligence. I'm going to master happiness and being a truly happy person. Those things are incredible, and it's on you. You can do it. So I think that's very, very helpful. I love, part of just being an observer, I love seeing how people develop coping mechanisms to help them manage the difficulties in their life. I was at Kroger the other day. We shop at a very interesting Kroger. We love it, but anyway, it's interesting. And I saw a well-dressed woman, and she was pushing a grocery cart around, and there was I've got grandkids now, so I'm guessing about a 2.5 or 3-year-old little girl in the cart. And as they passed the cookie section, the little girl wanted cookies, of course. I've been there. And the mother sweetly said, no. And the little girl began to scream her little head off. I couldn't believe, it's been a while since I've heard that level of screaming. But the mother was so calm. She said, now, Delaney, we just have half an aisle to go. Don't be upset. It won't be long. And I thought, dang, that's a lot better than I did when I had a 3-year-old. I didn't do that well. So I passed the mother on the next aisle, and it was candy section, and the same kind of thing happened. The little girl wants the candy. The mom says no. Little girl goes crazy. It seemed like a whole nother decibel up. And the mother, again, I was blown away. There, Delaney, only 2 more aisles to go, and then we'll be checking out. So calm, so calm. And so then, this was kind of catching my interest in the little girl at the checkout line. It seemed like she was a little calmer, so I got behind the mom, and then she saw the candy at the checkout line, and then she went nuts again. And the mother patiently said again, Delaney, we will be through the checkout stand in 5 minutes, and then we can go home and you can take a long, nice nap. And again, blowing my mind. So I pay my bill, go out, and I see right by my car is her car. And so she's emptying her cart, and I go up to her and I say, please excuse me, I'm not a weirdo or anything. I just want to tell you, I couldn't help noticing how patient you were with little Delaney. And the mother said, my little girl's name is Kiera. I am Delaney. And so she was just talking to herself all day. We're going to get home, just 2 more aisles. I like her spirit, and some of y'all need to practice that. You need to say, I need, just whatever your name is, just 2 more hours. Put a smile on your face, just 2 more hours. Make that phone call, just 2 more hours. Be kind and gentle and sweet, just 2 more hours. And then you go home, drink a glass of wine, lay on the bed, whatever you need to do, but maybe you need to talk to yourself. I said this earlier, but it's true. Adult behavior change, changing behavior that changes your life is hard. I don't want anyone to be misled. It is hard. We have ingrained in our mind a certain way of doing things, and changing that requires a little bit of work. It's hard for me, it's hard for you, it's hard for everybody, but you can do hard things. I have learned this about me. I don't always want to do hard things, but I can do hard things. Another thing that I just want to say, and this is still by way of introduction, is little adjustments, little tiny adjustments can make a big difference. Just curious, how many of you make your bed every morning? How many make your bed every morning? All right. Now this is going to be really telling. Let me say that one more time. How many of you make your bed every morning? All right, a few of y'all do. You maybe saw this when it first hit social media. U.S. Navy Admiral William H. McRaven spoke to the graduating class at the University of Texas, and this is what he told them, and I think it's true. If you want to change the world, start by making your bed. It seems like such a nothing little thing, but he went on to explain that little things can shift to much bigger things in our lives. He said this, if you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task, and then another, and then another. And by the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that the little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable day, You will come home to a bed that is made, that you made. And a made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better. I always thought that was quite profound. And then listen to this. 79% of bed makers consider themselves to be happy in life. Listen to this. 62% of people who don't make their beds consider themselves to be unhappy. So some of y'all just need to get up 5 minutes early tomorrow and make your dang bed. Make it up. That'll be helpful. I think that's a profound correlation. So, how do I design a life with a sustainable rhythm? Before I tell you these 6 principles, I want you to know that nothing is earth-shattering. I'm going to say here, in fact, each of the 6 ideas I'm going to share with you, you're going to say, I know that. I've seen that. I know that's not new. What I'm saying is understanding these things and putting them into practice is really what matters. Here are the 6 principles that I'm going to talk about today. Margin, priorities, money management, emotional health, physical health, and sleep. So let's jump in and talk first about margin. What is margin? What do you think about when you think of margin? I think first always is the border around the text on a page, right? That's margin. We set margins on our computer when we're typing a letter, but it's more than that. Margin is breathing room. Margin is a little reserve that you're not using up. Margin is when you are not stretched to the limit. You're not going from one meeting to the next meeting, to the next meeting, to the next meeting with no time in between. This is a country way of saying it. Margin is the space between my load and my limit. Margin is the space between my load and my limit. Dr. Richard Swinson, physician and author, writes about the struggle we have with margin. He says this: the conditions of modern day living devour margin. If you're homeless, we direct you to a shelter. If you're penniless, we offer you food stamps. If you're breathless, we connect you to oxygen. But if you're marginless, we just give you one more thing to do. One more thing to do. This living without margin makes you ripe for being out of balance. I have lived here many, many years where I have no margin in my life. It was a huge problem for me in my 20s, 30s, and the early part of my 40s. Why do you think we fill our lives with so many things in our schedule? Just turn to your neighbor. Yeah, just turn to your neighbor. Just take a guess. Why you think you do that? You put too many things on your schedule. Take just a half a second and do that. Anybody got ideas you'll share with your neighbor? All right, let me tell you what I think. What I think is the fundamental driver that causes all of us to schedule our lives and live with no margin. I think it's fear. I think there's something we are afraid of. It's not fear of dying. It's not the fear of being publicly humiliated in front of a large group. It's the fear of missing out on something. If I don't go to everything I could go to, then I might miss something fun. It's the fear, I think, of falling behind. If I don't overschedule myself, I might fall behind the people who are out there showing up at everything. Or it's the fear of not mattering. What if I really don't matter? What if I don't show up and nobody cares? Nobody misses me. We are very process-oriented people, and many of us struggle here. We desperately want to be moving ahead, and we think it requires nonstop activity. It does not. We need to learn to stop the constant push for more, always filling our schedule, more, more, more. Let me tell you 3 ways I believe you can get a handle on this lack of margin. The first is to learn to say no. Learn to say no. Now that's a $10,000 time management seminar in 2 letters. If I'd done this for Brian at AT&T, it'd be $10,000. Learn to say no. See you later. We got it, right? Everybody just learned. You've got to learn to put that in your life. I want you to practice this phrase with me. It took me a long time to say it into my 40s, but I'm mastering it now. I wish I could, but I can't. I'm slammed. Say that with me. I wish I could, but I can't. I'm slammed. One more time. I wish I could, but I can't. I'm slammed. You learn, y'all did that really good, and y'all were really convincing. So that's a good. Y'all are great at that. Learn to say that. Learn to look somebody right in the eye when your neighbor says, oh my gosh, I'm going to need to take this to the home place. It's 50 minutes on Saturday morning. Could you help me? I know what y'all do. You say, okay. And you don't want to do it. You can't do it. You need to be doing something else. But what you have to say is, God, I wish I could, but I can't. I'm slammed. And you're not a bad person. You got to take care of you. You have to take care of you. So I think that's very, very important. A lot of us, I'm guilty, are addicted to speed. Now, I don't mean this. We're not shooting up with speed, but we are addicted to speed. We're addicted to adrenaline. We're addicted to the clock and always running. We're addicted to a lifestyle of going faster and faster and how important that makes us feel. That's the best way for me to feel good about myself. It's like, boy, this person needs me. This person needs me. I'm going here. I'm helping my neighbor. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Listen, it will kill you. Here's something I know for sure. It is always easier to get into a situation than it is to get out of a situation. It's always easier to get into debt than it is to get out of debt. It's always easier to get into a relationship than it is to get out of a relationship. It's always easier to get into trouble than it is to get out of trouble. It's always easier to gain weight than, well, let's not talk about that one, but you get the point, right? You get the point. Always easier to fill up your schedule than it is to empty your schedule. Learn to keep margin in your life. Second thing that will help you with margin is this. Just because I can do it doesn't mean I should do it. Just because I can do it doesn't mean I should do it. My neighborhood came to me a couple of years ago and they said, man, oh man, you would be the perfect neighborhood president. And you know what my first thought was? I sure would. I'd be awesome at that. You know what my second thought was? Wish I could, but I can't. I'm slammed. And you know what? I haven't missed anything over that decision. That's been one of the best decisions in the world. So just know, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. And third thing is this, learn to live your life in a sustainable pace. Learn to live your life in a sustainable pace. I am not advocating for a snail's pace in your life. Brian would not approve. That nobody would approve of the snail's pace. I am trying to communicate this though. Frantic is not good. You do not want to live your life on a frantic pace. That's not what you want. Success doesn't happen in a day. It is consistent work done well over time. So learn to take a deep breath. Play for the long lifetime win, not the short win that's going to cause you to wreck your life because you have no margin. Right? Second key, balanced living. Priorities. Have a good understanding of priorities. When I was a kid, we would go to the Barnum and Bailey Circus right here in Atlanta, and we would see, one of my favorite things was when the clown would come out and he would start spinning a plate on like a stick. And you'd think, that's cool, it just was spinning, and then you remember what he'd do? He'd go get another stick, and he'd set it up on the other side, and he'd start spinning that. And then just about the time this one starts to wobble and fall, he would run back over and he would spin it again. Then he'd set up a third one way over here. And then a fourth one way over here. And he always knew where he had to run because just as it was just about to fall, he would get there in the nick of time and he would spin it and he would keep it all going until eventually he had about 10, 15. It was crazy. As a kid, it's like unbelievable. I'm laughing and laughing and laughing until finally in exhaustion, they all collapsed, fell, all the plates broke. And I remember as a little boy laughing and laughing and laughing at that silly clown. And then I lived my 20s and my 30s. And I found I did the exact same thing that clown did. I had this spinning and it looked good, and I had that spinning and it looked good, and I had this spinning and it looked good. And there came a point in time where I was running all over the place trying to keep things spinning, and I could not do it, and they all came tumbling down. This is a big deal. You can't spin all the plates. What is going to be your focus? How many plates can you spin? Now, I want to share with you how I have tried to work through my priorities, and I want you to know my priorities don't have to be your priorities at all. These are things that you have to figure out. But for me, at this stage in my life, and I may have said it differently in my 20s, 30s, 40s, I probably would have, but this stage in my life, these are my priorities. My family and a tight group of friends. I got a beautiful family, a tight group of friends. That's a priority to me. Another priority to me is my life's work. I think that that's a big deal, what we get to do for a living. And I hope that you love it. I hope it's something that's very special to you. I know my life's work's very special. I believe it's important. I believe it's connected to the reason I was born, and so it's a big deal. New adventures. Jane and I, you want to get Jane and I on the schedule, tell us that we're doing something, that you got an adventure you want to invite us on. We recently did hang gliding through the Swiss Alps. Most incredible thing we've ever done was to get on one of those things. Now, I did see a video of somebody who wasn't strapped in properly. Did y'all see that? That joker, had I seen it first, I maybe wouldn't have done it. But I made sure I was strapped in great, and you go running towards the mountain, and then you just take off. You have somebody strapped to you that knows what they're doing. I wouldn't do that, that's kind of crazy. But Jane, same thing. So we're just, anyway, to get to do an adventure, we're in. Because we think life is a lot about adventures, getting to do adventures. So that's a big deal to us. And then fourth thing for us as a priority, and we schedule it in, is trying to give back, because we know in this life we have been blessed beyond so many people. We know that we have really been able to experience a lot of things that others haven't been able to experience. And so as kind of a family thing, and this is really cool, but we try to give back. Safe House is a homeless place real close to here. And one of the beautiful things that I get to be a part of is our kids and our grandkids join us one day a month, and we try to feed the homeless. We bring a meal up, and to see our little 4-year-old grandson taking food to the homeless people, and that to us is a priority. We think that if we're not giving back, then we don't understand how we have been blessed in this life. But it doesn't have to be that for you. You just need to think through what your priorities are, and then you need to really stay with it. And you can't have unlimited priorities, because it just doesn't work. There's a lot of things we can't do. Jane and I don't watch a ton of television. We don't play a lot of games. We don't spend a lot of time arguing politics on social media, like zero is how much time we spend doing that. We don't watch every sporting event. We don't gossip about people. We don't have time, because we are trying to do those 4 things that really matter the most to us, and that causes us to live a real full life. Stephen Covey, you remember him, wonderful, great man, deceased now, but he said this: the key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but the key is to schedule your priorities. And so you get to decide what your priorities are. You get to say, these 3 things, these 4 things, that's most important to me. And then you won't be like the clown running back and forth trying to spin all the plates. Third key to balanced living is practicing money management. Some people are great at this. Some people are horrible at this. You can't tell by looking at people whether they are good or bad at it. I've seen some of the sharpest dressed guys in the world, and you would think, boy, they're killing it. And they don't have 2 quarters to rub together, because they really don't understand principles of money management. This is an hour-long conversation if we were going to really dive into it, and we're not going to be able to do that today. But the single most important lesson I can teach you about financial health is to learn to make financial decisions based on your long-term best interest, never on emotion. When you're looking at an expenditure, don't let emotion drive it. Make sure it fits into the plan of what your long-range interests are. For some reason, we can infuse financial decisions with a level of emotional power that never really pans out. But I do it. We invest all kinds of magical thinking into why we just need to make this purchase. If we made this purchase, it would just be so awesome. This sounds silly, but I love shoes. I love a sharp pair of shoes. And there are times I'll be looking at a pair of shoes and I'll think, if I got those shoes, I'd be a better speaker. I think I need these shoes. These shoes are so, if I bought those shoes, the CEO of the Better Business Bureau is going to be impressed. And if he's impressed, he might just send me into outer space. You never know where it could be. And it's all based on these shoes. Well, let me tell you my experience. That never works out. I do like nice shoes, but I've never had anybody say, oh my gosh, that Ray Waters, did you see his shoes? Nobody's ever said that. And so that's not the deal breaker, but we sure try to make it that way, and it's so funny when we do. I do think it's important. You want to look sharp. You want to do your best. I'm not saying don't worry about looking your best. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying don't infuse it with an emotional power that is not real. When your emotional brain takes over and you act out of rage, do you remember what we call that? an amygdala hijack. Do you remember when you totally circumvent the logical thinking side and you go straight to fight or flight? That's the amygdala hijack. Well, the same thing happens for many people, when they go to purchase something, suddenly their logic goes out the door and it's like, I need that. I want that. And so you have to be careful, because that's not a good thing to do. Financial guru Dave Ramsey, y'all know who Dave Ramsey is? Dave says a beautiful thing. Listen to this with inflection. If you live like no one else, later you can live like no one else. What's he saying? Make sure your purchases and the way you handle money is based on a long-range plan, not your short-range plan that's based on emotion. So we have margin, priorities, money management, and another component of a balanced life is taking care of your emotional health. Taking care of your emotional health. Now, as a young guy, I thought there were two gauges on the dashboard of my life. I thought there was a physical gauge and I thought there was a spiritual gauge, but if you would rather think of it as a mental gauge, I thought those were the two gauges on my dashboard. So I needed to make sure I took care of the physical gauge and I need to take care of the spiritual gauge. And if I did that, or if you want to think mental gauge, that's fine. If I took care of those, then I was going to be fine. What I discovered, and I didn't discover this till I was in my 40s, is there was a third gauge that was just as important as either of the other two that was on the dashboard, and that was an emotional gauge. And I had ignored the emotional gauge my entire life. And this was one of the great learnings that has ever happened to me, and I hope you will get this. You need to realize that emotional tank, as best as you can do it, needs to stay full. And what did we say about the happiness thing? 40% of it is on you. You can do this. You don't have to say, oh my life's bad and my emotional tank is just on zero. There's things you can do. Here's a few things. This is going to require for you to take some time to recharge, rest and recharge. When you are exhausted, your emotional tank will read empty. So take some time to recharge. And I have discovered I'm not real car oriented. My wife is like the girl in My Cousin Vinny. She can see a truck and she can tell you what it is. And she's really good at that stuff. I don't know anything about anything. But I was told in the old days, you could charge a car with a fast charge, or you could hook it up overnight and it would be like a trickle charge. And with your emotional gauge, there are times when a day away from work and just laying in the sun or taking a walk or going to the Beltline, that will be all you need. And then there are times when you need to schedule a vacation and you need to get away from what you were doing and you need to slowly trickle charge back up. I'm telling you, you need to do it. You need to do it. It's very, very important. A second key to emotional health is learning, and please get this, because boy, it took me a while on this. You need to cut back on activities and people who suck the energy out of you, and you need to focus on activities and relationships that replenish you. I'm telling you. There are people in your life, and you know who they are, that suck the life out of you. And most of the time, they're the ones you spend way too much time with, to the exclusion of those people who actually bring you joy, who bring you life, who just replenish you. You know what? You need to look at your calendar and you say, Ray, how do we know? Oh, you know. Jane and I have some people who it's like, listen, if I tap your leg, that means we got to go. We got to go. Because you know what? It's like you get there and it's like we stayed about as long as we can stay and just tap the leg and say, oh my gosh, we have to go. I'm so sorry. But we just have to do it because they suck the life out of you. Then there are other people that we go to their house and we don't have any exit strategy, because why would you want an exit strategy? It's beautiful to be there. It's wonderful to be there. You just feel so replenished. Life is so good when you're there that you say, my gosh, it's 12 o'clock. We're so sorry we stayed this late. We didn't mean to do that. But it's because something about them gives you life. You need to figure this thing out. You need to make sure that you're spending time with people that replenish you, and those people that suck the life out of you. And sometimes it's family, which is sad. You got to figure out that. It's tough, but you've got to figure out how to not let your emotional tank be drained by people who are going to drain it. So, moving quickly, another key to balanced living, you got to take care of your physical health. You have to take care of your physical health. For the healthiest balanced life, I have to remember a few things. And this is about physical health. So, and I want to tell you this is the hardest one for me. This one is the hardest one for me. But you've got to remember that even as simple as food, the food that you put in your mouth really matters. It is crazy to me that about a couple, 2 or 3 times a year, Jane and I will kind of go off of our path and we will just eat stuff that we really just want to eat like crazy. And then we'll find ourselves, I keep talking about Jane. She's in the other room. I want you to meet her. She's lovely. She's my wife. She's the best half of this partnership by a long shot. But we'll be laying in bed and it's like, God, I feel so miserable. And you know what it is? It's the food that we've been eating. That's all it is. And so we clean it up a little bit, and you know what? Within 2 days, we suddenly feel better. We suddenly feel better. I'm speaking humbly to you when I talk because I have lifelong struggled here. This is not something that I just was able to get. Every year I get a little bit better. I love food. I am a foodie, and I love eating large quantities of food. I love where this office is because it is close to so much good food. I like the little food court that's not far from here. You know what I'm talking about? You can eat at every one of them. You know, you can just go here and go here and go here. It's fantastic. But I'm learning food is not just about calories. Food really affects a healthy, balanced life. I would imagine many of you here suffer from what I've suffered from a long time, which is the FLC syndrome. Do you know what that is? You feel like crap because of the food that you eat. You just feel like crap because of the food you eat. Much of that is traced to just kind of a bad diet. I don't want to stay here too long, but I just want you to know the most impactful drug you will ever take is the food you eat. It will get you off of a lot of meds if you begin to eat healthy. Now, I'm not a labels guy. I'm not great at counting calories. I need simple stuff. I need simple stuff for me to follow. So for me, this was helpful. If it was made in a plant, don't eat it. If it grew on a plant out of the earth, eat it. That's easy for me to remember. But if it comes and they made it in a plant somewhere, I'm going to stay away from it. Here's something else I'm learning. If you eat good, you'll feel good, and then you can do good. And that's just kind of a motto for life. If you eat good, you'll feel good, and then you can do good. Let me tell you a true story. Jane and I do something called a modified ketogenic diet, which doesn't mean anything about anything. It mainly is low carbs, and it's moderate protein, and it's high fat. Okay, fat on this diet is good. Fat is good. Cheese and avocado and all that stuff's really good. So Jane had learned how to make these desserts called fat bombs. And the fat bombs are made with a high fat content. It would be really small, but it was things like cream cheese and butter. She'd mix stuff in like Swerve, which is a sugar substitute, or cocoa powder, or strawberry, or lemons, or caramel with nuts. She would make these incredible fat bombs, and she put them in these ramekins, and we'd have them. We'd have maybe 5 or 6 ramekins in the refrigerator, and each night we'd get our little fat bomb, and it was a treat. We just look forward to it because we're not eating anything that's super duper tasty. You know, we're eating a lot of meat and cheese, it seems like. So she told me that she had made some, and she said, okay, honey, these are the ones that are for me and you, and then these are some desserts I made for the grandkids that have the sugar in it and all that stuff. So these are the ones, and this the ones. So, okay. So I went out with my youngest grandson, took him to a little adventure, and we got back late at night, and I dropped him off, and I came home, and I was just starving, and I wanted a ramekin so bad, and I opened the refrigerator, and there was just on my side of the refrigerator, there's just one ramekin. There was just one left, so I think that must be it. So I get a big bite of it, and it wasn't very good, but everything she makes is really good, so I think something's wrong with me. So I take another big bite of it, and then I go upstairs about 11:30. She's in bed. I turn the light on and say, honey, this ramekin, this fat bomb doesn't taste good. And she said, Ray, that's bacon grease. Anyway, it's horrible. Yeah, I just want to gag right now for the next several days. I burped bacon grease. It was a horrible, horrible thing. So you can see I eat just about anything, and I've got to really learn to do better than that. So another key to this whole idea of balanced living is exercise. Exercise. Do y'all like it or love it or hate it? Or all of those? I'm all of those. Exercise is important. Exercise increases energy levels. It elevates metabolism rates. It improves blood circulation, strengthens muscles, strengthens bones, decreases blood pressure, reduces stress, increases efficiency of the digestive system, develops aerobic capacity, and improves sleep patterns. It does all of those things, and that is so true. Sadly, though, we are a sit on our rear end society. We know that. That's just the way we are. We don't move as much as we used to. We certainly don't move as much as our grandfathers and great-grandfathers would have moved 100 years ago. In fact, for those of you that are my age, we moved a lot, didn't we? When we were young, we had to move a lot. Some of you young people don't know how easy you have it. It was tough for us. People like me and Anita and Brian, we had to walk through 9 feet of shag carpet just to change the television channel. I mean, it was a little bit of a work, right? It was not an easy thing. I'm hearing now that they're making a lazy boy, and this is true. I saw this on the internet. It seemed like it'd be true, a recliner, that underneath the armrest, there is a cooler where you can put your drinks, because we don't want to get up and walk the 15 feet to the refrigerator to get us a drink. We can just stay right there. That's so crazy. That's so crazy. In the year 2000, this blew my mind maybe more than anything I've ever studied. In the year 2000, Dr. Michael Babyak conducted a study on how exercise impacts depression. And they randomly assigned 156 volunteers with major depressive disorders to 3 groups for a period of 6 months. The first group was assigned aerobic exercise for 30 minutes a day, 3 days a week, 16 weeks. The second group was assigned the same exercise for the same amount of time, and in addition, they were given the antidepressant Zoloft. The third group wasn't assigned exercise. They were only given Zoloft for 16 weeks. At the end of the study, volunteers were tested to see if they still had major depressive disorders. Now listen to this. About 55% of the volunteers who had only been given Zoloft had fully recovered 6 months from when the study started. A little better than half. Zoloft helped, a little better than half. 65% of volunteers who had been given Zoloft and did exercise found they had fully recovered. 65% exercise and Zoloft. Here's what got me. Nearly 90% of volunteers who were only assigned exercise were fully recovered after 6 months. Now, let me say this and hear me well. Don't go home and flush your Zoloft down the commode. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is exercise has an amazing ability to brighten our mood, and science has proven that to be so. You might want to write this down. It's an important phrase. Motion impacts emotion. Motion impacts emotion. And when my kids were little, and they'd have a droopy lip and they'd be kind of sad and just kind of sitting there bored or whatever, I found myself saying this little thing to them: move a muscle, change a mood. Come on, guys, let's move a muscle and change a mood. And we'd snap up and we'd get a vacuum cleaner and start dancing around the house or whatever we had to do. But we found that moving a muscle really did change a mood. Researchers at the University of Vermont found 20 minutes of exercise provides 12 hours of mood-lifting benefits. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services says people who exercise for 30 to 60 minutes, 3 to 5 days a week, show improvement in happiness. Now, you get to choose what you like to do. My wife gets up at 5:30 in the morning and does a YMCA boot camp, and it makes me so proud when I see her get up and go do that. But can I tell you, I have never felt called at 5:30 in the morning to do any kind of workout. There's zero there. I prefer weightlifting with friends at 4 in the afternoon, but whether it's hiking, swimming, walking, aerobics, Zumba, yoga, jogging, kettlebells, biking, whatever, find something to go out and exercise, walk the belt line, find something and you will feel better, I promise. Practice the something is better than nothing principle. Practice the something is better than nothing principle. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. What floor are we on? Yeah, don't do that. That's a little high. That's a little high. If y'all ever move to the 3rd or 4th floor, think about it, but don't do it on the 9th floor. Park a little bit away from the door. I did that. We ran up a hill to get here because we were late. Create time during your day just to move around. Can I show y'all how we can maybe do this? I need a few volunteers, so let me volunteer a few of you. Amy, Misha, and Sean. Can y'all come up here? Amy, Misha, and Sean. Come up here and sit in these chairs. Amy, Misha, and Sean. Julie, will you step in here with us? Julie, come on. Y'all sit in these chairs over here. And y'all going to all get to exercise just for a minute, and then we can all go back and eat more pizza, all right? So just be ready. Y'all sit in these chairs, and I appreciate y'all helping me so much. I'm going to teach you something called chair racing or chair jogging. Get a little room between you. You got a little room? I don't want anybody to hurt anybody. And I want y'all to know you got to do it too. So free your hands a little bit. And in just a minute, we're going to play a song, and I'm going to get you to get your feet moving and your arms churning, all right? Feet moving, arms churning. You are in a race. It won't be the full 3-minute song. I don't know exactly how long it should be. Keep a smile on your face. We got a competitor down here on the end. She's about to take this race. I can tell she's getting ready. Are you ready? Jane, come in here with the music. I want to hear it. Let's go, y'all. Pretty good, pretty good. We got some people who exercise. Don't give up yet. Everybody smiling. Nobody, don't throw up. Nobody throw up in the room. Y'all good. Get into it. Oh, he's going. Come on, we got another. We got to make it through the chorus. We got to make it through the chorus. We got to make it through the chorus. Y'all got this. Keep it going. Keep it going. A little bit. Get the blood pumping. A little bit. Smile. Not even sweating it. Everybody doing good? Keep going. Keep going. Keep it going. All right. We'll stop it. Give it up, everybody. You did great. You did great. Y'all can go back to your seats. Y'all did good. Little lightheaded. Help her to her seat, y'all. She's a little lightheaded. Y'all are so funny. Y'all did really good. Now, again, people may think you're crazy, but there might be a time in the middle of the day when you just need to take a break, and you just take a break. You do that for a minute. That's something. We're going to do some more stuff, so don't give up, okay? Let's try something else. If you can, if it's not going to hurt you, stand up. And don't use the armrest if you can help it. All right, sit down. Okay. Sit down. Stand up again. All right, we got a few of these. Sit down. Let's stand up again. That's good. That's 3. Let's sit down. Let's stand up again. Let's sit down. Let's stand up again. Let's sit down. We got 5 more. Let's stand up again. Let's sit down. Stand up again. Let's sit down. Stand up again. Let's sit down. 2 more. Stand up again. Let's sit down and stand up again. And you can fall back in your chair this time, all right? Now, let me tell you what you just did. You just did 10 squats, body weight squats. And can I tell you something? You do that on the hour every day. You're doing 80 body weight squats a day. Do you know 80 body weight squats a day is not bad? 1 more. I want y'all to get your rear ends off the chair, but in a squat position, all right? Just kind of, but off the chair, all right? Just kind of go as close to the seat as you can, but don't sit down. All right, now I want you to, I got 10 more minutes. I just want you to stay there while I finish this talk. No, y'all can sit down, y'all can sit down, y'all can sit down, y'all can sit down. So, y'all did some exercise today, and now that's very, very good. Very, very helpful. Let me get, the exercise is important, and it's something that's, Jane and I will drift out of it during seasons, and just like we drift out of eating like we should during seasons, and then we always have this sit down where we say, you know what, we really miss it, and we get back in it. So find a way to do that. One final step, and you're going to like this one because this is huge, and that's sleep. Sleep. I didn't realize how important sleep is until the last couple of years. Through study, I've realized it is a big deal. Dr. Russell Foster is a circadian neuroscientist who studies the sleep cycles of the brain. And he says sleep is the single most important behavioral experience that we have in life. Let me say that again. Single most important behavioral experience we have in life. University of Michigan professor Norbert Schwartz conducted a happiness study. This will blow your mind. He says making $60,000 more in annual income has less of an effect on your daily happiness than getting 1 extra hour of sleep a night. Now think about that, because I know all of us perk up. 60,000 more a year, that would solve my problems, right? That would solve my, probably you're saying solve my problem. This scientist said all the studies show $60,000 more a year would not help you in being a happier, healthier person as much as 1 hour of sleep extra a night. That's a big deal. Our society, sadly, has formed unhealthy associations around sleep. Those unhealthy associations took hold during the Industrial Revolution, and they grew stronger throughout the 20th century. We grew up with these. All of us did. Thomas Edison said, "Sleep is a criminal waste of time and a heritage from our cave days." Well, Mr. Edison, science would say you missed it there by 1,000,000 miles. The former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Margaret Thatcher, said, "Sleep is for wimps." Again, I used to pride myself on not needing much sleep. But you know what we'd say now? Margaret Thatcher, that's wrong. We've all heard people say that they're going to crush it now in life. They're going to crush it. And then they'll say, "I'll sleep when I'm dead." Well, you're going to be dead sooner because you're not understanding how this works. Sleep experts William Dement and Christopher Vaughan said this: "Helpful sleep has been empirically proven to be the single most important factor in predicting longevity. It is more influential than diet, exercise, or heredity, and yet we are a sleep-sick society, ignorant of the facts of sleep and the price of sleep deprivation." Getting too little sleep, pure and simply, makes us miserable and prevents us from being as healthy and happy as we are meant to be. It is critical for balanced living. It is critical for balanced living. Now, several factors, I'm going to move quickly, that will help you here. First, our body's main stress hormone is called cortisol, and that's associated with stress. When we don't get enough sleep, guess what? Cortisol levels are elevated, and they cause muscle aches, headaches, cold symptoms, and bad moods. Just a thought. Second thing, people who sleep 5 or few hours a night have a 50% greater likelihood of being obese. When we are sleep deprived, our brains release a hormone called ghrelin, and ghrelin makes us hungry, and not just hungry, it makes us hungry for carbohydrates. And so I've been there. I know what that's like. When I'm not getting enough sleep, I can eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. Sleep disruption is the #1 indicator of present or future mental illness. Again, this is the latest science. This is not anything pop science. This is the real deal. This is what they're saying. Your sleep is super important. Benefits of sleep: our ability to invent novel solutions to problems is 3 times stronger after a good night of sleep. So when you're stuck and you don't know what you need to do, a good night's sleep is a good answer. 65% of adults who sleep over 7 hours a night report excellent mental health. 65% of adults who sleep over 7 hours a night say they have excellent mental health. That's enough to make us say, I'm going to prioritize good sleep. Only 27% of adults who get 8 hours of sleep report feeling overwhelmed. Think about that. Only 27% of adults who sleep 8 hours ever say they're overwhelmed. They just are able to handle it better. So how much sleep do we need each day? I want to run this fast, but this is from the National Sleep Foundation. Newborns 0 to 3 months, they need 14 to 17 hours a day. We know that to be true. Infants from 4 to 11 months need 12 to 15 hours a day. Toddlers 1 to 2 years, they need 11 to 14 hours a day. Preschoolers 3 to 5, they need 10 to 13 hours a day. School-age children 6 to 13, 9 to 11 hours. Teenagers from 14 to 17, 8 to 10 hours. Younger adults from 18 and also really through the rest of us, 7 to 9 hours. If you are sleeping less than 7 hours a night, you are doing damage to yourself. At least that's what the empirical data shows us. So just know some of y'all stay up till 12:30 or 1 in the morning, and then you get up at 6:30 so you can get here on time, and you're wondering why life feels so heavy. Guess what the scientists are going to tell you? It's because you're not getting enough sleep. And 8 hours of sleep might be all you need to make that your deal. So let me give you some suggestions from the experts. They all say this: stick to a sleep schedule of the same bedtime and wake up time, even on the weekends. Just whatever your wake up time is, make that your wake up time and go to bed approximately the same time. It's very helpful. Practice a relaxing bedtime ritual. Get you some warm hot tea that's decaffeinated. And don't read electronics. Read like your Kindle or a book. Just try to do something like that. If you have trouble sleeping, avoid naps. Makes sense, right? Don't take naps and then you really will have trouble. Exercise daily. I can't sleep well, but as soon as I start exercising, I can sleep so good. And it's the exercise that makes a difference for me. Evaluate your room that you're sleeping in. Design your sleep environment to establish the conditions you need to sleep. And this will surprise you. Your bedroom should be cool, and this will really surprise you, between 60 to 67 degrees is optimal sleep. We keep our bedroom at 62 degrees, which is cold, but man, you get under the covers and you just can sleep so well. So if you can do it, that's a good thing to do. Sixth thing, use smart light controls to help manage your circadian rhythms. In other words, let the bright lights begin to go down as the evening goes longer. Let the bright lights be a part of your wake up. Avoid alcohol, cigarettes, and heavy meals in the evenings. I want to stay away from heavy meals at night. It just makes you miserable and it's hard to sleep. Learn to wind down. Your body needs to shift into sleep mode. So make sure you practice that. And then finally, if you can have meaningful, fun sex every night before bed, then I actually just made that up, but my wife is here and I like her to say, I just throw that out there because you never know. You never know. Well, listen, I am glad that I was able to, at least in my life, begin to make life balance a priority. I hope that will be real for you. It takes some steadfastness, though, on your part. There's got to be something tough. You may not think of yourself as a tough person. There's got to be something tough that just says, this is what I want, and I'm going to make sure I get it. My son, Ethan, lives in Atlanta. My older son lives in Southern California, but Ethan lives in Atlanta. He's 35 now. But when he was a little boy, he just had a toughness about him that was sweet, always sweet, but just tough. I never forget when he was a real young little boy, me putting him to bed, and as soon as I would get downstairs, he would say, Dad, what, Ethan? Can I have a drink of water? And so this became a little deal. First few times I would take him a drink of water, and then I finally said, this is dumb. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm the dad, he's the kid. We got to figure this out. So I'd say, Ethan, this is the deal. I'm putting you into bed. You better drink water before you get to bed, because when I put you into bed, you're in the bed. You're not getting out of bed. And he drank a little water, went to bed, and I was feeling so good. It's like, I'm strong. You know, I'm a man, I'm a dad. I did this right. And I sat in my chair, and that little boy said, Dad. I said, what, Ethan? He said, can I have a drink of water? And I said, no, you can't have a drink of water. I told you you were not going to get a drink of water. I've already been through this, so just be quiet, count sheep, whatever you have to do, go to sleep. And so I'm there thinking, I did okay. And a few minutes passed, and he said, Dad. I said, what, Ethan, what? And he said, sure would like a drink of water. I said, you're not getting a drink of water. I promise you're not getting a drink of water. I'm telling you, you're not getting a drink of water. And so a few more minutes passed, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, and he said, Dad. And I said, what? He said, can I have a drink of water? I said, Ethan, if you ask me one more time, now please forgive me, but I come out of a background where a little spank on the rear end would have not been a bad thing. So don't judge me, all right? But that's where we came from. So I said, Ethan, you listen to me. If you say this one more time, I'm going to come up and you are getting a spanking. You understand? He said, yeah. So I'm sitting there and I thought, jeez, finally. A few minutes passed and he said, Dad. I said, what, Ethan? He said, when you come up here to give me a spanking, would you bring me a glass of water? There's got to be something in you that says, I'm going to get that glass of water. I'm going to get that glass of water. And it's got to be for you, life balance. I'm going to get it. Don't get mad at yourself if it doesn't work right away. It is a lifelong pursuit. Can I tell you something? You are my favorite people to talk to. I remember when I was able to talk to you guys a few years ago, and that was so fun. Thank you for letting me be a part. Let me say this. I have books. If you didn't get the last time and you want to get a book, I've got a book. Was $10 will be fine if you want to get a book. And then we're going to get out of here 10 minutes ago. So we're going to go pretty quick, but y'all are wonderful. Thank y'all very, very much for letting me be a part, okay?